Theory portion we will discuss today of the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, what structures you have seen mainly? Muscles, vessels. Within vessels you have seen the abdominal aorta, inferior vena cava. Okay, and also there are some nerve plexuses. Nerves you have seen, branches from the lumbar plexus, and there will be lymphatics also. Okay, all those we will discuss today. Silence everyone. Okay, stay. So posterior abdominal wall, see this is the posterior abdominal wall. Mainly the muscles have been shown here. So posterior abdominal wall extends from the 12th rib above to the pelvic brim below. Here is the pelvic rib. 12th rib above to the pelvic brim below. It is a strong, stable because it is constructed by bones, muscles and fascia, and it supports the retroperitoneal organs, vessels and nerves. The posterior abdominal wall is constructed as bony structure, muscular part and fascia. Fascia are the psoas fascia, fascia iliaca and thoracolumbar fascia. Okay. Next. So bones forming the posterior abdominal wall is the 12th rib, the iliac crest, the vertebrae, bodies of the vertebrae. All these are bony part. Rest is muscular and fascia. Okay. So muscles, there are three muscles are present here. Psoas major, iliacus and quadratus lumborum. Sometimes a small muscle is present, that is psoas minor. Okay. So here you can see this is psoas major muscle. This small muscle lying over the psoas major. This is psoas minor. Here is the iliacus and quadratus lumborum. Okay.
Connected.
So these are the four muscles. Next, see the muscles. Psoas major. Here on this side, psoas minor is present over the psoas major. This is iliacus and quadratus lumborum has not been shown here. Okay. Next. So we will discuss the individual muscles in details. These muscles are important for your OSPI questions. Okay, OSPI of abdomen. So psoas major muscle origin, the muscle arises from 14 fleshy sleeves, and that are as follows: 5 sleeves from the intervertebral disc between T12 to L5 vertebra and adjoining margins of the bodies of this vertebra. 5 sleeves from anterior surfaces and lower borders of transverse process of 5 lumbar vertebra, and 4 sleeves from tendinous arches bridging the constricted sides of the bodies of the lumbar vertebra. So this is the origin of the psoas major muscle. See here, this is the origin from the intervertebral disc, from the tendinous arches connecting the upper and lower margin of the vertebra, okay, and from the transverse process also. Okay. Insertion is lesser trochanter of the femur via the iliopsoas tendon. What is the function? Acting from above, it is the chief flexor of the thigh at the hip joint. Okay, functions are important, also asked in your viva. Acting from below, it flexes the trunk at the thigh, as in raising the trunk from recumbent to the sitting position. So this is function of the psoas major muscle. Innervation is via ventral rami of L1 to L3 nerves. Okay, so if it comes as a short note, you have to write all these 4 points. Okay, or in OSPI question also all these points can be asked as related questions. Okay. Next we go to psoas minor. This muscle is present in about 50% of individuals. So it will be absent in half of the individuals. So it arises from the side of intervertebral disc between T12 and L1 vertebra and adjoining parts of their bodies. Insertion is into the iliopubic arena. Nerve supply is by branch of L1 spinal nerve. Action, it is a weak flexor of the trunk. Okay, so this is psoas minor. Next, see here, this is psoas minor arising from the intervertebral disc between the T12 and L1 and insertion into the iliopubic eminence. Okay, here. Next we go to iliacus. It is a fan-shaped muscle, forms the lateral compartment of the iliopsoas muscle. Origin, it arises from the upper two-thirds of the floor of the iliac fossa and inner lip of the iliac crest and upper surface of lateral part of the sacrum. So this is origin of the iliacus muscle, where it is inserted over the anterior surface of lesser trochanter and an area 2.5 centimeter long below the lesser trochanter. Okay, mainly in the lesser trochanter. So iliopsoas is inserting into the lesser trochanter of the femur. What is the nerve supply? It is supplied by femoral nerve. What is action? Flexion of the thigh and the lumbar part of the vertebral column. This is action of the iliacus. Next, see here this fan-shaped muscle originating from the iliac fossa of the hip bone. This is iliacus. Okay, and it is going along with the psoas major to be inserted into the lesser trochanter of the femur. Okay, so iliacus originates from upper two-thirds of iliac fossa and anterior sacroiliac ligament, thereby filling the iliac fossa, inserted into lesser trochanter of femur through a common tendon with the psoas major, and it flexes the hip. This is main function. Next we go to quadratus lumborum. Origin is from posterior one-third of the inner lip of the iliac crest. Attachment of iliac crest is very, very important. You read attachment of outer lip, inner lip, intermediate area, attachment of anterior two-third and posterior one-third. These divisions and their attachments of iliac crest is very important. Okay. So this quadratus lumborum is originating from posterior one-third of inner lip of the iliac crest and lower 2 to 4 transverse process of lumbar vertebra. Insertion into the medial part of anterior surface of 12th rib and upper lumbar transverse process. So this is insertion of quadratus lumborum. Nerve supplies ventral rami of T12 to L3, L4 lumbar spinal nerves. What is the action? It is a lateral flexor of the lumbar vertebral column and extend the lumbar vertebral column. So this is action of quadratus lumborum. Next, see here this quadrangular muscle here. This is quadratus lumborum, originates from transverse process of L5, iliolumbar ligament and iliac crest here. Transverse process of L5, iliolumbar ligament and the iliac crest are inserted into the transverse process of L4 to L1 and 12th rib medial half. So these are the insertion points, 12th rib and transverse process of L1, L2, L3. Okay, understood? So it is quadrangular shaped. That's why, and lying in the lumbar region. That's why the name is given quadratus lumborum. Okay. Next. So we have discussed the 4 muscles, their origin, insertion, nerve supply and action. Psoas major, psoas minor, iliacus and quadratus lumborum. So next we will go to the fossa. 3 important fossas are present in the posterior abdominal wall. Psoas fossa, iliac fossa and lumbar part of the thoracolumbar fossa. Next, first go to the psoas fossa. It is a thick fossal sheath surrounding muscle. Okay. Arises as the muscle enters the abdomen cavity under the medial arcuate ligament. And it ends at the pelvic brim as the muscle leaves the abdomen inferior to the inguinal ligament. And it does not extend into the thigh. Okay. It extends from the previous one. Okay. Next. So psoas fossa was covering the psoas major muscle mainly, and if present, psoas minor muscle is also covered. Next, thoracolumbar fossa. It extends from the back of the sacrum to the neck, okay, and binds the erector spinae muscle to the vertebral column and encloses the quadratus lumborum muscle. It is very strong in the lumbar region, and laterally it gives origin to the internal oblique and transversus abdominis muscles. And its lumbar part medially splits into 3 layers. We will see the layers next. See, this is a section through the abdomen. This is posterior wall. So here you can see the vertebral body. This is transverse process. Here is origin of psoas major muscle. This is quadratus lumborum muscle, okay, and this is erector spinae group of muscles. And this yellow fossa, this is thoracolumbar fossa. It has 3 layers in the lumbar region. Thoracolumbar fossa can come as an important short note, okay, lumbar fossa or thoracolumbar fossa. So this is anterior layer lying anterior to the quadratus lumborum. This is, and it is attached over a ridge on the anterior surface of the transverse process of lumbar vertebra. You must have read during the lumbar vertebra class. And at the tip of the transverse process of lumbar vertebra, there is attachment of middle layer of thoracolumbar fossa. Okay, and this layer lies posterior to this quadratus lumborum muscle. And here, posterior to the erector spinae group of muscle, here lies the posterior layer of the thoracolumbar fossa, okay, and all these 3 layers join laterally, okay, and it gives origin to these muscles, internal oblique and transversus abdominis, and it extends also above up to the thoracic region and keeps the erector spinae group of muscles in position. Next, so this is quadratus lumborum, this is psoas major, here is the iliac fossa, and here lies the iliacus muscle. Next, there is an important clinical aspect regarding this fossa is psoas abscess. A focus of pus in the lumbar intervertebral disc can track down along the muscle and present as a lump in the groin. Because psoas major along with this fossa extending up to this lesser trochanter, so this is groin region, so pus will track along the fossa up to the groin region. And tuberculosis of swine gives rise to a psoas abscess. This is the main cause of psoas abscess. Next, here you see the different nerves. See, this is psoas major. Here on this side, psoas major have been removed to show you the lumbar plexus, and these are the nerves, different branches of the lumbar plexus you must have seen in your posterior abdominal wall, okay. So first is subcostal nerve, along with it lies the subcostal vessels. Below and parallel to it, this is iliohypogastric nerve, then there is ilioinguinal nerve, both root value is L1, okay. After that, lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh. How will you identify it? It is going towards the anterior superior iliac spine and then entering the thigh. After that, along the lateral margin of psoas major, you will get this thick nerve, that is femoral nerve. And here on the medial side of the psoas major, you will get the obturator nerve. Okay. So laterally femoral nerve and medially obturator nerve. And lying over the psoas major, this nerve is the genitofemoral nerve. It is again divided into 2 branches, genital branch and femoral branch. Femoral branch entering into the femoral sheath and genital branch entering into the inguinal canal. And this ilioinguinal nerve, this is also pierced through the roof of the inguinal canal, enter into the inguinal canal, then pass through the superficial inguinal ring and supplies the genital area. Okay. Next. So this is origin of the diaphragm, the lateral arcuate ligament and medial arcuate ligament. And this is the lumbar fossa have been shown here, anterior layer of the lumbar fossa covering in front of quadratus lumborum. Here is the psoas fossa covering the psoas major muscle, and this is fossa iliaca covering the iliacus muscle. Okay, and this psoas fossa hello. Okay, you can see from the diagram the psoas fossa is extending into the thigh, mainly towards the groin region. Okay, next. So these are the attachment of arcuate ligaments. Here is the median arcuate ligament, which is single. Then on two sides of the median arcuate ligament, there is medial arcuate ligament, and lateral to it lies the lateral arcuate ligaments. Okay, these are paired ligaments, medial and lateral arcuate ligaments. And these ligaments gives origin to the diaphragm. And these are the crus of the diaphragm, right and left crus of the diaphragm. Extent of these two crus is different. Okay, so median arcuate ligament, it is formed by tendinous fibers from the medial edges of left and right crura of the diaphragm. Okay, next, and you can see the subcostal nerves and vessels, they enter into the abdomen deep to the lateral arcuate ligament. Iliohypogastric nerve enters into the abdomen deep to medial arcuate ligament. Both this iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal nerve, they enter and just deep to this medial arcuate ligament, and sympathetic chain is also passes deep to this medial arcuate ligament, and deep to the median arcuate ligament passes, here lies the aortic opening of the diaphragm, through it passes the abdominal aorta. Okay, thoracic aorta becomes abdominal aorta from this aortic opening. Next, so these organs are lying in the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, posterior to the peritoneum. Duodenum, its second and third parts, pancreas, kidneys and ureters, and suprarenal glands. All these structures are retroperitoneal. That's why you can see them in the posterior abdominal wall. See here, this is duodenum, second and third part. Here is the pancreas, okay, lying within the loop of the duodenum. Kidneys, right and left kidneys, and ureters, these are the ureters, and suprarenal glands, these lying over the upper pole of kidney, these are the suprarenal glands, and this is diaphragm. Okay, so all these structures are retroperitoneal structure lying in the posterior abdominal wall, and we have to remove these structures to expose the branches of abdominal aorta and tributaries of the inferior vena cava. Okay, next. So what are the great vessels of the abdomen? Great vessels of the abdomen are abdominal aorta and inferior vena cava. Okay, next. See, like this you have seen in your dissection. So this is abdominal aorta. It is bifurcating at the level of lower border of L4 vertebra into two common iliac branches, right and left common iliac branches. And these common iliac branches are again dividing into external iliac and internal iliac. External iliac is being continuous downward as the femoral artery, and internal iliac is it is dividing into anterior posterior divisions and giving multiple branches within the pelvis. And see the ventral branches here. Here is the celiac trunk. Here, just below 1 centimeter below it, here will be the superior mesenteric artery. This is inferior mesenteric artery continue downward as the superior rectal. These are the two kidneys, okay, two kidneys, and from the kidneys, this part is the ureter. These are the psoas major muscles. Here is the iliacus muscle. Here is quadratus lumborum muscle, okay, and here lies these branches of the lumbar plexus. From above downward will be the subcostal nerve, iliohypogastric, ilioinguinal, and lying over the psoas major, this nerve is the genitofemoral nerve. Lateral to the psoas major, this is femoral nerve, and medial to the psoas major will be the obturator nerve. Okay, understood? All these you must have seen in your posterior abdominal wall dissection. And these are the anterior abdominal wall muscles, flat muscles, those external oblique, internal oblique, and transversus abdominis. Those have been cut open. And this is liver, okay. Next. So what are the vessels? Aorta and its branches, inferior vena cava and its tributaries, portal vein and its tributaries, lymphatics and lymph vessels. Lymphatics and lymph vessels are very thin structure. They are generally removed, okay. Actually, they are forming plexus in front of the aorta and inferior vena cava. So to clean those structures, you have to remove these lymph nodes. And there is thoracic duct also. Thoracic duct is a very thin walled channel. Okay, it very frequently it is destroyed during cleaning of other structures. Next. So abdominal aorta and its branches you have read once, so we'll discuss briefly. It is continuation of the descending thoracic aorta at the aortic orifice of diaphragm opposite to the lower border of T12 vertebra. Vertebral level is important. Here is the aortic opening of the diaphragm. From here it continues as the abdominal aorta or intervertebral disc between T12 and L1, and it descends vertically downward and slightly to the left in front of the vertebral column and terminates in front of the lower part of the body of the L4 vertebra. And it is dividing into right and left common iliac arteries. Okay, these are the common iliac arteries dividing at the level of L4 vertebra. It is again dividing into external, internal iliac. Next, there are three unpaired ventral branches to the gut. These are the ventral branches: celiac trunk, superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric. You have discussed these three in details. And three pairs of lateral branches to three paired glands: suprarenal gland, kidneys, and gonads. Okay, so suprarenal artery, renal artery, and gonadal artery. Gonadal artery may be testicular artery in male, ovarian artery in female. They are paired lateral branch, three pairs of lateral branch. And there are paired posterolateral branch. These are lateral branch. These are mainly dorsal branches. Okay, these are lumbar arteries and inferior phrenic artery. And above the aorta also give rise to paired inferior phrenic artery. This is just after entering into the abdomen it is given. And there are three terminal branches, two common iliac, right and left common iliac, and from the dorsal aspect there will be the median sacral artery. Okay, understood? So these are the branches you will see in the posterior abdominal wall. Next. So main branches are in three categories: single ventral arteries to gut and its derivatives, celiac trunk, superior, inferior mesenteric. Paired arteries to other viscera, suprarenal, renal, gonadal. Paired arteries to the body wall are the inferior phrenic and lumbar. Are two terminal branches, two common iliac, right and left common iliac, and median sacral. Next. So ventral branches has been shown here. See, this is celiac trunk arising at the level of T12. Arising at the level of L1, this one is superior mesenteric. Here is the inferior mesenteric arising at the level of L3. Okay, and at the level of L4, it is dividing into two common iliac And from the posterior aspect, here arises the median sacral artery. And here you can see right inferior phrenic artery just after entering the abdomen through the aortic opening. Here is right suprarenal artery, right renal artery, and right gonadal artery. These are the lateral branches. And here are the dorsal branches, 4 lumbar arteries. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 lumbar arteries. These are dorsal branches. And this is median sacral artery. This is also one dorsal branch. So these are the branches of abdomen. Next. And these ventral branches are related to this structure. Below the celiac trunk, here lies the splenic vein and body of pancreas. Superior mesenteric artery lies in front of the left renal vein, uncinate process of pancreas, and third part of duodenum. And inferior mesenteric artery lies below the duodenum. Okay. Next. So these are the branches you can see. Here is the celiac trunk. Here is the superior mesenteric artery. This is inferior mesenteric artery. 2 common iliac, internal iliac, external iliac. These are the 2 renal arteries. Okay. Here are the suprarenal artery. This one is middle suprarenal, and here will be some inferior phrenic artery. These are the lumbar arteries, okay, going towards the body wall, and this is median sacral artery. Next we go to the inferior vena cava. The inferior vena cava is the largest and widest vein of our body, and it drains most of the blood from the body below the diaphragm into the right atrium of the heart. And how it is formed? It is course and termination. Inferior vena cava is formed by the union of right and left common iliac veins in front of body of the L5 vertebra. This vertebral level is important for formation of inferior vena cava. Okay. Below the aortic bifurcation and behind the right common iliac artery. And it ascends in front of the vertebral column on the right side of the aorta, and it then arches forward on the right crus of the diaphragm to reach the groove on the posterior surface of the liver. Okay, in the liver viscera, you will see a groove for inferior vena cava, okay, on the posterior aspect, posterior surface of liver. And it pierces the diaphragm at the level of T8 vertebra and terminates by the right atrium of the heart. Okay, you have seen inferior vena cava opening in the right atrium of the heart. This vertebral level is important. There is a vena cava opening of the diaphragm which lies at T8 level. Okay. Next. So the inferior vena cava receives the following tributaries: 3 formative veins, 2 common iliac veins, and median sacral veins. Veins are generally correspond to the branches of the abdominal aorta. You have seen the branches of abdominal aorta. Veins are lying along with the arteries mainly. So aorta bifurcates into 2 common iliac arteries. So veins are formed by joining of 2 common iliac arteries. 2 common iliac arteries and also median sacral vein joins here. And 3 abdominal wall tributaries are inferior phrenic vein, 3rd and 4th lumbar veins. The 1st and 2nd lumbar veins end in the ascending lumbar vein. Okay. Ascending lumbar veins take part in formation of the azygous system of veins. Okay. Right side there is azygous vein, left side there are hemiazygous and accessory hemiazygous veins. Okay. And there are 3 lateral visceral tributaries. These are right and left renal veins, right and left suprarenal veins, right and left testicular or ovarian veins, like the lateral branches of the arteries. And 3 anterior visceral tributaries are right, middle, and left hepatic veins. Okay, these are the hepatic veins are directly draining into the inferior vena cava in the vena caval groove. Next we go to the lymph nodes. Okay, so we have discussed arteries and veins of the posterior abdominal wall. Next we will go to the lymph nodes. These are located along the external iliac arteries. See, this is external iliac arteries. common iliac arteries and abdominal aorta. So this is common iliac, abdominal aorta, and accordingly it is termed as external iliac, common iliac, and aortic lymph nodes. Okay, according to their locations. And some are lying in front of the aorta, that is known as pre-aortic, just side of the aorta. These are known as lateral aortic or para-aortic group of lymph nodes. Okay, next. So lymph nodes, lymphatics follow the arteries. Single ventral arteries are lying along the single ventral arteries. These are known as pre-aortic nodes. Paired arteries to other viscera and paired arteries to body wall. Here lies the para-aortic nodes on two sides of the aorta. Next, see here, this is pre-aortic nodes. These are the para-aortic nodes, and these are lying along the common iliac and external iliac and internal iliac arteries. So these are named as common iliac group, external iliac group, internal iliac group of lymph nodes. Next. This is schematic diagram. This is pre-aortic group of lymph nodes. These are para-aortic group of lymph nodes. This is common iliac. This is external iliac. This is internal iliac. Okay, lymphatics mainly going from lower part to upward, and it is going to drain into a large lymphatic structure that is known as cisterna chyli. Cisterna chyli lies mainly at the level of L1 vertebra. Okay. From here, thoracic duct ascends upward and going to drain into subclavian vein. Okay, that's how the lymphatic drainage occurs. Next, so we have discussed the lymphatics. Now we go to the nerves of the posterior abdominal wall. We have discussed the lumbar plexus in details. So here we will grossly discuss the main names of the nerves. So first you will see the subcostal nerve. This root value is T12. It is ventral ramus of 12th thoracic spinal nerve. Next we go to the lumbar plexus from L1 to L4. It is forming the lumbar plexus. The lumbar plexus is formed by union of ventral rami of L1 to L3 spinal nerves and a large upper part of ventral ramus of L4 nerve. The lower smaller part of ventral rami of L4 joins with the ventral rami of L5 nerve to form the lumbosacral trunk, and which takes part in formation of the sacral plexus. Okay. Next. So first to fourth lumbar spinal segments, this is root value of the lumbar plexus. It is embedded in the psoas major muscle and branches related laterally, medially and anteriorly to the psoas major. So these are the branches of the lumbar plexus: iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal. Root value is L1. Genitofemoral, root value is L1 and L2. And lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, this root value is L2, L3. And this is femoral nerve, root value is L2, L3, L4. Okay. And there will be obturator nerve, here also L2, L3, L4, and sometimes present is accessory obturator nerve, here root value is L3 and L4. Okay, and this smaller part of L4 joins with the fifth lumbar nerve to form the lumbosacral trunk, which takes part in formation of the sacral plexus. Okay, understood? So all these nerves you will see in the posterior abdominal wall. Next, see the nerves. Nerve will lie like this. So see the muscles here. This is iliacus. This one is psoas major, psoas minor, quadratus lumborum. Here is the transversus abdominis. Okay. So this nerve just beneath the lateral arcuate ligament. This is subcostal nerve. This is iliohypogastric nerve. This is ilioinguinal nerve. Below it, here is the lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh going towards the anterior superior iliac spine. Lying over the psoas major, here will be the genitofemoral nerve. Coming out from lateral border, the thick nerve is the femoral nerve, and coming out from the medial border, here will be the obturator nerve. Here is the femoral nerve, here is the Obturator nerve will lie medial to the psoas major. Okay, and this is formation of sacral plexus. So these are the branches of lumbar plexus, and these are the branches of sacral plexus. They are entering into the gluteal region. There are sciatic nerve, okay, posterior femoral cutaneous nerve, pudendal nerve, pudendal nerve. All these are branches of the main branch of sacral plexus is sciatic nerve. You have seen in the posterior compartment of the thigh dissection, and also in the gluteal region. Next we go to the clinical correlation. So psoas abscess. Psoas fossa forms a long tubular sheath, osteofibrous tunnel called the psoas sheath. See, this is the location of psoas muscle. So the sheath is located around the psoas muscle. So extending from the upper lumbar region of the posterior abdominal wall to the groin. This is the extent of the psoas fossa. Tubercular infection of the vertebra of the thoracolumbar region causes destruction of their bodies, leading to the formation of an abscess. And the pus cannot spread anteriorly due to anterior longitudinal ligament. Therefore, it spreads laterally into the psoas sheath, forming the psoas abscess. Okay, psoas abscess can come as a short note, and the extent of the abscess is important. Okay, it can extend up to the groin region, and the pus can also enter into the psoas sheath from the posterior mediastinum. During the posterior mediastinum class, we have read this clinical aspect. Pus can trickle down through the psoas sheath into the groin. Okay, so also enter in the psoas sheath from the posterior mediastinum through a gap deep to the medial arcuate ligament, and pus may then spread downward along the psoas muscle under the inguinal ligament into the femoral triangle, and where it produces a soft swelling. Here it is producing a soft swelling in the upper part of medial aspect of the thigh. Okay, next clinical aspect is aortic aneurysm. Aortic aneurysm, it is localized dilatation of the aorta and commonly occurs below the origin of the renal arteries. So these are the renal arteries supplying the two kidneys. Below the origin of renal artery, the dilatation mainly occurs. Commonly occurs below the origin of renal arteries in 95% of cases, usually in elderly men. And most common cause is aortic aneurysm is atherosclerosis, which weakens the aortic wall. And clinically it presents as pulsatile and expansile abdominal mass, typically just superior to and to the left of the umbilicus. That's how it locates the aortic aneurysm. Okay, to the left and just superior to the umbilicus, you will feel a pulsatile structure. Okay, next we go to compression of inferior vena cava. The inferior vena cava is commonly compressed by an enlarged uterus during the last trimester of the pregnancy, and this causes edema of the ankle and feet and varicose veins in the lower limb. Okay, and the compression and blockage of the inferior vena cava by the malignant retroperitoneal tumors result in dilatation of the anastomotic channels between inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. That is known as caval shunt, so that the blood could be returned to the right atrium. Clinically, it presents as the prominent subcutaneous vein called thoracoabdominal vein, formed due to dilatation of anastomotic venous channel between the lateral thoracic vein, which is a tributary of axillary vein, and the superior epigastric vein, a tributary of the femoral vein. Okay, these anastomotic channels are developed when there is compression of the inferior vena cava. This is also an important clinical aspect. Okay, what happens if there is blockage in the inferior vena cava? Okay,